Yaga Africa and other civil society organizations have charged the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to rethink its current strategy and adopt the push strategy to ensure that every eligible voter gets their permanent voter's card as the 2023 general elections draws near. We are now being joined by Paul James, who is the Program Manager, Elections at Yaga Africa. Mr. Paul, good morning and thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning and thank you for them.
It's a pleasure to have you spare some time to enlighten Nigeria on what you refer to as the push strategy. Can you please throw a bit more light on what the push strategy is?
So we need to see an increase in especially on the part of Nigerians to get registered in the CVR process. Now, this is also given the fact for a lot of Nigerians, we know they all wait until the very last minute before they engage in the process. Process that was started by June 28th of 2020. Now it's also due to end the end of June this year, June 30th. We are seeing growing interest on the Nigerians to get registered, and so we are the 20 days time that INEC to end the process might not be enough. It is important that INEC consider pushing the date for the exercise forward, perhaps maybe to enter around August, given that we don't impact some other processes, because after the exercise, what will be left is to clean up the record, also get it ready for the 20 election. So we thought that would be enough to do that. So if INEC can use of the very many Nigerians that participate in the exercise and to get through the process. Now, this is a mind that a lot of issues happen around the exercise were not fault of Nigerians. We saw throughout the course of the, we have been deploying, observing, engaging the process. There has been around even the technology that INEC is deploying, that is the IVET. Some instances we've heard about the functioning, or in some instances you also hear about officials not coming as of when they expect to come. And if you recall, or then around even the online registration, a lot of confusion about that. Some think the online ends the process, so they don't get to also for the physical capture. Also for the fact that the physical captures as of when INEC were far from their location. Recall that when the locations were only at the INEC, that is local government offices. So these centers were far from the people. In his wisdom, decided in this last quarter to run the world. But even with that, we know out of information that people don't have information as to where these centers are located. And so, but it is important that INEC improve education about the exercise, deploy some personnel, and then allow Nigerians that are willing to be part of this process to participate in the CVR exercise.
As long as we attribute most of the problems that actually happened during this exercise to INEC and some inefficiencies here and there, INEC is also coming out to say that there are thousands of PVCs that have already been produced, have already been printed, of people that have already been registered, but people are yet to come and collect.
These PVCs are not the PVCs that are produced from exercise. We have to get it clear. These PVCs are PVCs from even the two elections, some as far back as the 2019 elections. There have been some bureaucracies around even the colleges. INEC is very careful now to coinage from PVC, this PVC collection. And so thought that INEC have other means of Nigerians when these PVCs are ready. You don't get the PVC instantly after registration. It takes a month to get the PVC because through a process of cleaning up the register, they need to their foreign vendors to get the deals before they are returned to Nigeria. As details of all the registered email addresses of voters, the house of voters. I don't think there's anything for instance, from sending test voters when their PVCs are ready, don't pick up their PVCs. 5 months for, anybody that for people, for instance, staying in 1 month might not be something that we can go. The point is, INEC will know its distribution channel and also communication around informing people when they are ready. We've also had people, they go to look for these people in INEC offices, and when they go there, they don't find some offices. So it's just to make the process seamless, provide information about what PVC. Nothing stop INEC, for instance, in pasting people's name, voters' name in strategic location, who's are ready, so that if, for instance, PVC is ready and Paul is not, anybody that sees Paul's name on the list, chat to Paul and tell him, hey, reach out to INEC your PVC. So I don't think it is rocket science. It's something that INEC can always work around.
James, another recent, it was just yesterday, I guess, the presidential flag bearer of the Labour Party in his Twitter handle was also calling for the extension of the CVR process, owing to some allegations, he said, of people finding it difficult in some zones of the country, if not everywhere, of being able to carry out this process, like you rightly alluded to in your comments, showing up in those places, as I did in the last 2 days, trying to transfer from one location where I was sometimes ago to my current location, and finding so many people. I started the online process. I couldn't finish the process myself. Every time I take the photograph, it tells me it fails the integrity test, and so I just got tired of trying. So other than merely extending the time, what more can we do on the interim to speed up this process? You said one already. Do we necessarily need to print PVCs abroad? Because that 5 month period of cleaning and printing may have informed wanting to round up early. Are there no technologies that could handle this? Because I don't see the PVCs being far more sophisticated than some of these credit or debit cards that are issued by bank. And today, you could practically walk into a bank and be issued one if all the security informations have been taken. So what stops us from taking that route?
Rightly so. I sincerely at this point that we need the picturing in our elections. Reason we now have technologies that can also detect the voter. If the voter accreditation system has the capacity, as INEC is making us to believe, the dual capacity of checking the biometric, the fingerprints and recognition, as well as the third one, that is PVC. I sincerely am of the, even without the PVC, one should be able to. Fingerprints are unique to and not also forgetting that it is based on this in the current election. We're saying voting will be determined by the number of votes, implying that only the people that are INEC officials for accrediting the rightful voters for the polling unit should go through the process. So given that, we'll be getting to the point where we will say without the PVC, so long as it is a person can bring any other means of verification, person should be allowed to vote. And I think also we begin to talk about harmonizing other means of identification, the national cards, the PVCs, the passport, and the likes, giving them a put single jacket that any of that same purpose. And then on the part of quite have been also one of getting that I think 5 months is quite a lot. We need to begin to look inward and begin these things in Nigeria. Whatever is the sectors that is on the PVC, I feel it's something that we can also get is raising the trust level in Nigeria and also these things inward, and that will also to a large extent also help us to reduce the cost of elections. It's where
We all understand that elections and it's everybody's business, and we've been talking about what INEC is doing, what INEC needs to do, how INEC needs to do things. But what other role, or what role can civil society organizations such as yours actually play to make this process easier for Nigerians as well?
Well, I think within the everybody can do. We all have to define roles and we understand that what we at the moment squarely rests on INEC, that is enabling environment for everybody to be able to. The role of the civil society is to participate in the process. What does it mean that you are pushing people out to go and start, and then the process is not them to be able to get registered? On our part as a CSO, between the people and also systems of government, we have pointed out some of the challenges to INEC, especially while we have been seeing some progress. I think this is the time that I up its game. The demand is more supply at the moment, and they just need to make up whatever is the shortfall and ensure Nigerians captured. We have seen with that the increase in the get registered. Whatever is stopping the more equipment, I think need to be early. And then if you recall that in 2011, the entire extension on that 3 weeks, between January 2011 to February 17, within the space of that 3 weeks, I need 73 million Nigerians. That is real capture without even going through the exercise. So if it is a concern of, if it's a shortfall of manpower, allies, youth corps members, there are that are even willing to give their equipment, for instance, laptops and the like in this process. So that in 2011, this process was the 8,891 in the country. I think this is the time to reach it. The civil society can help in that regularizing nine come to these places and also providing the kind of support will need in those locations to ensure a smooth process.
Before we let you go, Paul, I would like you to shed a bit more light. In your opening statement, you said we are beginning to see more and more interest, and you said that could largely be to the fact that we are a peculiar kind of people when it comes to leaving things to the final minute. Would that be the only reason, or are people now beginning to take some kind of interest in the gladiators that seem to be in the ring? Is that a factor?
I think the point you just raised could other reason. The quality of the kind of candidate that we are beginning to, what we have always clamored for election, that me, I think there is a correlation kind of candidates you have in the election, apathy. When you bring in people, candidates that people have confidence in, that people in their leadership ability, I feel that will engineer also inspire people to participate in the.
We may seem to have lost connections with James there, but